Okon, and this is Hard Fact, where we separate truth from fiction. We're passionate about the hard-hitting stories that matter. Get ready to challenge your perception and discover the real world. Let's dive deep into the issues that affect our communities, revealing the untold stories and giving you a voice. No sensationalism, no bias, just raw, unadulterated truth. I am committed to delivering news without compromise. Hard facts as we know them, when we know them, and how they affect you. Every Monday through to Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. This will be your most authentic news experience starting now on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Are you tired of all the noise and speculation in the news? On Hard Fact, we cut through the clutter and get straight to the truth.
If only Fubra has been aware of the Google trap, he would have understood in democracy there are bases for everybody to do accordingly.
Join us as we bring you the stories that matter. We go beyond the headlines to uncover the real facts and the core of every story.
We are doing this, we are doing that. At the end of the day, nothing good will come out. What did they promise us? They will be in charge of security and life and whatever. But what are we getting in return?
With in-depth analysis and experts interviews, Hard Facts delivers the truth that others dare not to reveal. Tune into Hard Facts every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. and arm yourself with the knowledge you need to navigate today's complex world. Hard Facts, where the truth always prevails.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. This is the nation's number one talk news and sports radio station. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Itimi and Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. 9 minutes gone past the 3 o'clock hour, officially welcoming you to an abridged version of Hard Facts. My name is Maryann Okon. We're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. The conversation takes a different turn today. We're not looking at the big 3-4 today. We're talking about online advocacy as opposed to real-time advocacy. And I'm talking about politics, yes, because you know that is sort of our forte on the show. And as we gear up for the campaign season leading up to the elections in 2027, these are some of the conversations that we will be having. Today's conversation sets the tone for a great conversation to be had. I'm being joined by a journalist who did some research on the topic that we're going to be looking at. So let me give you some background before I introduce my guests. Once again, we're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. So we're going to be talking about online advocacy versus offline political participation among Nigerian youths. Underline the word Nigerian youths because that is the focus of our conversation. Now, for those who do not know, Nigeria is one of the youngest countries in the world. More than half of our population is under 25. Now, demographically, young people should be the most dominant force in this nation. But reality tells us a different story. Young Africans or young Nigerians are highly vocal online, dragging politicians, demanding accountability, pushing hashtags, and even organizing digital movements. Yet, online or offline, voter turnout is low. Political party membership is low. Attendance at ward meetings is almost non-existent. And so the question is, why is youth political energy loud on social media but quiet in physical politics? My guest today conducted a study that is titled Comparative Analysis of Online Advocacy for Good Governance and Political Involvement Among Nigerian Youths. Now, the findings show that many youths don't know their wards or local government areas. They don't know their elected representatives. They distrust the electoral system and they have fear for violence and intimidation. But interestingly, many say they would participate if the system felt safer and more credible. So, are Nigerian youths apathetic or alienated? So let's get into it by introducing my guest for today's conversation. He joins us live via Zoom. He's a journalist and a researcher. His name is James Ojo Adakole. I hope that I got your name proper. James, thank you so much for joining us on Hard Facts this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Great, James. Let's go straight to it. Why did you decide to go undertake this research? Why was it important that you carry out this research?
Thank you so much. Just like you've given us a little insight in your introduction that youth constitute the larger percentage of our population. And in fact, not just in Nigeria, Africa, we have one of the youngest population, in fact, in the world. So, and of course, we know it, when we're growing up, they always say that youth are the future, they are the leader of the tomorrow. So, I was just thinking, reflecting on the situation of things in the country and the increased demand for good governance among young people, and the fact that, this thing go online, we see most of these things. So I decided to, do a comparative analysis and say, look, let's compare this involvement online and see what it looks like, what the reality looks like offline. The idea is to drive conversations so that ahead of the 2027 elections, we can have a balanced narrative and a different perception to the election.
So you don't think that we have that already? That you think that we're more vocal online, but when it comes down to us appearing in person to push for these things to happen, we're non-existent.
Definitely. As you can see, I'm a journalist and we've covered so many elections. And on election day, you see young people playing football on the streets. These are the same set of people, they go on their Facebook pages, on Twitter, saying we want good governance and bad governance. But when it's time for action, when it's time for that election, when it's time, to walk the talk, they are not usually there. And if you are, maybe just few percentage are there. When we look at a percentage, over 60% of our population are young people, are youths. So what are the percentage? What percentage do we see at the polls? What percentage go out on that election day to vote? So these are big concerns, and that's what prompted this research.
Interesting. Walk us through your methodology. Who do you study? Who did you study, and how did you go about it?
Okay, so basically, research was done online. Research is an independent research, and of course, we know it's capital intensive. So, from that perspective, we decided to use online. So that we use questionnaire, using survey, research design, and we targeted young people. Of course, based on the national youth policy in Nigeria, a young person is someone between the age of 15 to 29. And but looking at the fact that voting age is 18, so we targeted people between 18 and 29. So we mostly selected people between that age range, and most of the respondents from the research you see, they are students. Most of them are in tertiary institutions. Most of them are even doing their postgraduate studies. So it's even basically that's the methodology, the survey, and that's basically.
So, in your research or in your study, what was the most shocking findings that you saw? What was the thing that surprised you the most? Especially for us who are journalists, we think that we know a lot of things, and then boom, you realize that there's a lot that you do not realize that you know. So, what exactly was the most shocking finding for you in this research?
Okay, thank you so much. For me, the shocking finding would be that young people don't even know their elected representatives. You see, they don't even know, apart from governor, maybe because governor is always popular on the TVs, on newspaper, and all of that. They don't even know who is representing them at ward level, at local government level, at House of Assembly. This politics is grassrooted. We have to is domesticated most times. So they don't even know those that represent them even as House of Representatives and Senate. So it's concerning because we are in a system whereby the emphasis is always on the federal government. Everything has to be federal government. So this is alarming that same set of people, same young people that are demanding for good governance, that want a better Nigeria, they don't have low knowledge of their political leaders. So how do you demand accountability? How do you demand transparency? When that road on this is destroyed, when when the health system are not properly equipped, who do you call? So when we don't even know the names of our elected officials, so it's really a disturbing revelation, and I think that's the most shocking thing I discovered.
Haha, interesting. And how do we advocate for good governance if we don't know who our representatives are? And did you probe further to understand why we're less interested in who these people are if we really are interested in getting them to be accountable?
Yeah, definitely. So it's one of the factors I also looked at. Of course, there are the limited knowledge of political leaders is not in isolation, right? So a lot of factors were responsible, and the first of such is that people generally have low interest in politics, and this low interest is fueled by distrust in the system. There's a general belief among young people, among the respondents, that their participation will not change anything. You see, so in that sense, they believe uh, their knowledge of political leaders, whatever they do in the political landscape does not really count. And so I think that's the major driving force, because when people when people do not trust a system enough, it's difficult for them to associate. And another factor was lack of interest, which was fueled by that distrust. So the general, if you go to the street and talk to average young person about politics, they're not interested, except maybe a few. Most of them will tell you it's not their business. So this is one of the major reasons, why people are generally have, or people have generally have limited knowledge of their leaders.
While you were speaking, I was having a mental debate with myself, and I do that a lot, which is obviously that how can we have so much political awareness online? I mean, everyone seems to be talking about something, but then there's low structural knowledge, and does this point to a failure of civic education or political communication? I mean, you've talked about distrust, but I mean, if I don't trust you and I don't trust the office that you hold, at least I must know you to be able to single you out and call out, whatever it is that your mess up is. So I'm thinking to myself, is it that we failed when it comes to civic education, or is it that there is no political communication, especially under this administration?
Yeah, honestly, I think that it's a big failure on that part. Let me provide a little historical background to this conversation, maybe to give us some perspective. If you look at historically, Nigerian youths have always been very active in politics. Some still are, percentage-wise, it has dropped drastically. When you look at the pre-independence era, for instance, we have we have nationalist movements which were driven by young Nigerians. When you look at the Lagos Youth Movement, which became the National Youth Movement in 1936, this was a movement led by young and visionary Nigerians. And this movement, for instance, produced several pre-independence political parties that we have then, like the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons in 1944, when you talk about the Action Group in 1950, the National Element Progressive Union in 1950, and the Northern People's Congress of 1951. So if you see, these are people, young Nigerians. If you ask yourself, how old was the late Anthony Nahoro when he moved the motion for Nigeria's independence in 1953? You see, so even our Obasanjo of today, the General Murtala Mohammed, they were in their 30s when they held the highest office in Nigeria. So you see, from that level, there was high, there was that consciousness, there was not that intentionality by the system, by the structure in place at the time, to ensure that young people are actively involved in the political system, to ensure that young people are participate fully in the system of the time. But now I think the reverse is the case, because if you even interrogate or probe some of our social study curriculum in the school today, if you look at what we teach in civic, government education, it's not holistic enough. So there's no intentional, movement or policy by the government, to ensure that people even understand their basic right. And I feel it's even maybe intentional, because the more people become politically aware, a lot of politicians will be in trouble. because they also want to remain in power forever, right? So if we look at it from that perspective, it could also be like a ploy. But generally, people don't understand their civic rights in Nigeria, from every aspect, and it's a really big issue.
So, in your research, do you think that young people believe that these social media activism actually helps to influence governance? Do you think that, for the people you spoke to, do they think that they're making any impact whatsoever?
Yes, a lot of majority of respondents agree that they believe social media activism, make influence government, influence demand for good governance, and that is why we see many of them investing energy. And the truth of it is, we can't rule out social media activism in this age. You see, we saw what's happening even in surrounding areas, countries. We saw what happened in Kenya during the protests and some other countries around us. Social media has come to stay, and no country can shy away from that. So we can't also shy away from that reality. So young people know the potential, they know the influence social media commands, and they believe in its power to drive real reform through change in the system. What is lacking, however, is the fact that they are not complementing it with offline political involvement, which is where the real thing happened. Because we know in Nigeria, for instance, people, you can't win an election on social media. I remember then before the 2023 election, I think maybe Kurimadu, there was, or one of the politicians there that was saying, who are these obedient making us online? I remember then, and because it was funny to the older generation that a movement online can actually pose a threat to establish structures, establish political parties. But we saw the reality then. So it showed the power, and if there's anything, that experiment also reinforced the belief of young people. We also saw the NSAS movement. Started as a social media, a movement, something everybody was maybe not even taking cognizance of, but became a real-time movement that shook the nation. So these are instances that showed youth believe, most of the respondents believe that's influence. And
when I come back, let's talk about whether these online engagements are translating into real political power, especially as we're gearing up for the elections, especially with what we're seeing playing out outside of the National Assembly and within the National Assembly, and several other issues and matters arising. James is a journalist who's carried out some research about young people being more active online than offline and being part of the political process on the ground. When we come back from the break, I'd like to have more young people call me and tell me exactly why this mindset is, and if we will be able to go further in influencing and changing things on the ground with just staying online. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Maryann Okon. We'll be right back after this break.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
From Washington to Beijing, Moscow to Abuja, London to Kigali, the world is shifting fast. Elections are shaping destinies, wars are redrawing borders, economies are rising and falling, and global alliances are being tested like never before. But what does it all mean for you?
With a new administration and a new president in the White House trying to put an end to the war.
I didn't know the historical context, what the state of Israel means for them.
Join the fearless Ireti Bakare Yusuf on Borderlines every Friday at 4 p.m. on Nigeria Info 99.3. As she dissects the biggest global events and their impact on world peace.
Those who are not familiar with Israel or the war itself would not know much about the group breaking the silence.
Borderlines on Nigeria Info every Friday at 4 p.m. The world is changing. Don't just watch, understand it. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Each day comes new stories,
new reports, new discovery.
Presidency spends 34 billion naira on travels in 2 years.
There is nothing you can do about it. This is our money, our president is spending.
The defection of members of the Labour Party in Alimosho to the ADC were violently disrupted.
Governors remain leaders of the APC in states. Credited to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
You go there and see arrogant in people they call nurses and doctors.
INEC says it has completed an internal timetable for the 2027 general election.
No way America can come and do this. Let them come and tell me again that Nigeria is a sovereign country.
Anyone that can put an end to this problem in this country, I beg, may they come help us.
It's all part of the conversation.
Right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
Let's be honest. This isn't the show for the faint-hearted. We don't do PR here. We do truth. We don't repeat headlines. We interrogate them.
If it's power, we question it. If it's policy, we break it down. And if it's propaganda, we cut right through it. Every story, every voice, every fact under the spotlight. Because Nigerians don't need noise, they need clarity. So if you're tired of spin and ready for sense, welcome.
I'm Maryann Okon, and this is Hard Facts.
Nigeria Info 99.3. Let's talk.
And talk we shall. 27 minutes gone past the 3 o'clock hour. Welcome to an abridged version of the show today. We're talking about online youth participation in politics as opposed to real-time offline participation. Why is there that huge gap? My guest has carried out a research on this, and of course he came up with very interesting findings. But as we gear up for the elections, it's not enough to stay online and be keyboard or keypad warriors. How about we put that into realistic action? Well, that is where we're headed to. My guest is James Ojo. He's a journalist and a researcher, and we've been talking about his findings. But of course, in a bit, we will be opening up the phone lines to talk to young people. So if you're a young person, you're watching us, we're live on facebook.com/Nigeria Info. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. You could join the conversation and use the hashtag HardFact. On WhatsApp, if you're listening from the diaspora and you want to be part of the conversation, it's 08095975805. You can call only those in the diaspora. If you are listening in Nigeria and you want to be part of the conversation via WhatsApp, it's still the same number. You can text 08095975805. But you can also post your comments on our live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. But let me come back to you, James. Talking about these barriers of offline participation, that's real-time participation. You talked about fear and safety concerns, which have come up strongly in your research. What exactly are our young people afraid of? Secondly, how much does this distrust that you keep talking about in the electoral process or even in INEC discourage participation from your findings?
Yeah. So in terms of what people are scared about, they're scared of their lives. They are the safety first. Of course, the basic responsibility of every government is protection, of lives and properties. So people most of the respondents we sampled, the simple question was, do they feel safe, in participating in the electoral processes, in electoral activities? And most of them say no, because and it fair just it's even a big concern now going to 2027, because the situation has even gone bad, maybe from bad to worse, because security situation has become worse. So many of the respondents were actually scared. They are scared of going out to vote because of what probably violence that might break out during the election, maybe fights, maybe ballot snatching that we'll see in some cases during the election. And we also saw during 2023 election, remember, a lot of things happened there. Some set of people were even threatened that if you come out to vote, look, something is going to happen to you. So that fear, that's what majority of the respondents were scared of. Safety of what's fear of unknown, of what might happen to them, they go into the election. And so also talking about distrust you mentioned, so it's also a big factor, because like I mentioned, majority of the respondents noted that they feel their participation does not count. They feel their votes will not count. You see, that's part of the finding. That's part of what the respondents say, and that's like a perception problem, right? When it's a perception problem, when you believe or when you have the perception that participating engagement in something does not count, then you resort to staying away from that process or maybe activity. So to a large extent, I would say it's fueling the apathy we are seeing today, and I think it's and that is why we are creating this conversation, so that even INEC, they need to do a lot of image, they have to redeem their image in so many ways. They have to assure Nigerians that, see, the election, your votes will count, go out there to vote. So these are some of the factors. So the perception problem is a big one, and if we don't address it ahead of 27, you agree with me that with the outcome of 2023 election, from perspective of security, from perspective of trust, you see that things have really gone so worse. So going to 2027, a lot is at stake, and without these issues being addressed, I think we're just going to have maybe a very limited number of people at the polling units, which is not good for our democracy.
Let's talking about 2027 and democracy as we approach the elections. What do these findings of yours mean for youth voter turnout? I mean, you said that something has to be done. What is that something that needs to be done? How do we, as journalists, because the onus lies on us, whether we like it or not, as a fourth estate, to try to get people to still trust the process and know that the process is them. They make the process. Without them, there is no process. And are we risking a democracy where the largest population block is potentially absent? I mean, we've seen the drops. Every single election cycle, we see how many people are registered and how many people show up to vote. So what do we do to remedy this situation going forward before I open up the phone lines?
Yeah, so I think as media, we need to increase the pressure, on the policy makers, on those in power to do the needful. And look at what is happening in the National Assembly, for instance. We are debating electoral transmission of results. I mean, at this stage, and it's also part of the distrust we're talking about. People don't trust this current system enough. And that is why they say, look, we want for us to have a free and fair election, a credible election that we can be proud of. Transmit this result electronically. And you see what the pushback from the lawmakers already. They are saying this is not possible. But we are also seeing the sort of resistance on the parts of people going to the National Assembly. We are seeing Occupy now protests already. Although, the turnout might not be much, but we are seeing some. So it's a part of the media. Remember, as one of the role of media is that they set agenda for the public. So they need to keep talking about it. They need to, keep putting, different kind of, writings up, also educate the people about their civic rights. Because I tell you, a lot of people don't know their civic rights in Nigeria. They don't know the power of their votes. You need to tell them that, look, in a democratic system, the power in the people, is greater than the people in power. So with this kind of sensitization, people will be, charged up, to do the right thing, in an election cycle.
Okay. I want to open up the phone lines, Lagos. Let's talk. The basic question is obviously, what stops you from participating? And I mean, there will be 1,001 things that we could complain about. But I always say that if we are doing what the bad politician, the corrupt politician wants, then we're helping them to win. So how do we stop them from winning and doing the opposite? Like I always say, shock them. Let's talk. 0201-277-0993. That's 0201-277-0993 if you are male. For the females, 0201-465-7190. That's 0201-465-7190. Please go straight to the point. You have 60 seconds. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good afternoon. My name is Franklin.
Frank, go ahead, please.
Here.
Yes.
This situation is a deep one because it's something I'm always thinking about a lot. Now, why is the present youth so, I don't say inactive, but why don't they just participate in real time, in real life? And what I can tell you is the main reason, or what I think is the main reason, is that, first off, our parents taught most of us to be scared. Do you understand? Do not talk. Do not air your opinion. This is the government. The government is always right. So that thing affected a lot of children growing up. Let's put it that way. That's what most of them brought into their adult stage. Yeah, because if you take it back, talking has always been a thing of Nigerians. We will talk, we will complain, but we never act. We will talk, we will complain, but we never act. We will talk, we will complain. It is way back since the days. Yeah. Now it has gotten to the social media world whereby that talking now is online. Don't get them wrong. It's not like they are not agitated. They are. But why do you think? Okay, I told somebody one time that
in 10 seconds because we need to take other calls.
Okay. We can never see 2020 again. The protest that happened in 2020, I don't think it will ever happen again because they're scared to put that fear in them when they protest go.
All right.
You understand?
Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi, Maryann. Good afternoon to you and your guests. The fears and worries your guests have raised this afternoon are quite valid. On point research he has done. But the question lies in, Maryann, before now they've propagated the not too young to run bill. Youth should come out. How many youths have been voted in power? So far, so good. We have ancestors in the Senate that have been there for years, and you tell the youth to believe in what exactly?
Yeah, but not all the youths who get involved in the process must run. If we populate the parties, who do you think will push, or throw up whoever will hold these offices?
Maryann. If there is active participation online, have it yielded dividends? Yes, but we want physical one rather than the active one online. We are trying to merge both together, but you would not vote. You would not frown at a youth that is apathetical about what is on ground now, because at the end of the day, it's as if their voices are stifled and what they say or do does not really count. We'll keep pushing, but honestly, the media is going to have a hard time cautioning or admonishing people to come and vote in the next coming elections.
Well,
good afternoon,
looks
Maryann.
like I've got my job cut out for me. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, Maryann. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sunday on the line.
Go ahead, please.
Quickly, you see, everything depends on INEC and the judiciary. Because whatsoever they say is final. No matter what happens. Like they keep saying, go to court. So what do you think? Even if everybody is coming out to vote, what will happen at the end of the day? They will ask you if you are not a citizen, this and that stateless. Mostly in Lagos State. So that's it. It can't be possible. I will still remind you when these things come up again because there's nothing anybody can do.
Well, I beg to differ, and I'm pretty optimistic. Like my guest said, that we're more, and the power in us is more than the people in power. I keep telling you guys, they're just a handful of people, like tiny seeds of people, and we're like the sea sand. So the more you allow a tiny set of people to gaslight you and make you feel like you're less important, the more they win. But when you realize how powerful you are, and then you populate those parties that they think that they own, maybe their power begins to wane. Maybe, just maybe. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good afternoon, madam.
Yes.
This Emmanuel calling you from Iko.
Go ahead, 60 seconds, please.
So for me, it's not about the younger people again. This government, this present government, and then take over from 2015. They hate the young people. Okay, look at what happened to the NSAS at Lekki Tollgate. What thing will give the young people mind to come out again? Me, I lost my teeth in 2023 in voting Peter Obi. So for me, I believe this thing is not about younger people again. This thing turns spiritual thing. It's a spiritual game. Power don't change. No English that they will speak for the younger people again. Plus this hunger. It's just so annoying. No grammar. No grammar, and the media, everything done Damaru. We no get good government. Thank you for your good work.
Thank you very much for calling. He says it's spiritual. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi.
You're not allowed to call the ladies' line, please. And I took time to call the male line. Please, if you're not a male, don't call if you're not a female, don't call the female line. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good afternoon, Maryann.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay.
The topic is quite interesting. But my opinion is this. For election, for young people to participate in this election, there should be this voting wherever you find yourself, you vote. Are you in the school? You vote in the school. Are you in the office? You vote in your office. Are you in the market? You vote in the market. That I have to go to a particular polling station or polling booth to cast a vote and somebody is threatening my life. It can't be possible. That is what I see.
Well, we'll have to wait for another constitution amendment. But I guess that the reason why, because there's a restriction of movement on election day, and we haven't gotten to that point. I mean, we're yet to even just get certain things right in the constitution and in the electoral process, let alone saying, oh, let's start having elections like they have everywhere else in the world. People still go about their businesses, but elections happen. I think we're asking a bit too much there. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, Ashan Lady, good afternoon. This is Chris.
Go ahead, please.
Your guest has said it all. INEC is the problem. INEC, the judiciary, the thuggery, the security agents, and this party are not helping masses. Look at the one in Ebonyi. How many young men in Ebonyi State will buy form for 30 million? The one in Agege, the son is a local government chairman. Then the other one is fronting the son to be a governor. How many youths will get that money? So at least these parties, if they can bring out their form, whatever, down, then thuggery, the security agents should do something about this thuggery. The former security chief during Buhari threatened, no Agbero, no this, all that lie. They know what they are doing. So please, the youth, we are more in number, like your guest said. This time around, come 2027, they pushed us to the wall. We need to bounce back this time. They failed already. Insecurity that they promised is still making wave in Nigeria. Thank you, Action Lady.
Thank you very much for calling. 0201277093. My guest is still here. James Ojo did a research on youth involvement online and offline. There's more, energy online, but when it comes down to joining political parties, knowing who your leaders are and what's actually the political process is about, it's like we don't know. And he's saying that there's a lack of trust in the process. There's a lack of trust in INEC. There's a lack of trust generally, and there's a fear that they're not protected. And so there lies the apathy. But the bigger question today is, how do we put an end to that apathy? How do we close that gap, knowing that the power lies with us? How do we come into the knowledging and the embodiment of the power that lies within us? Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, Maryann. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Sunday calling from Material.
Go ahead, please.
So, I give your guest in on the studio. So, you know what? There was a time in my area now that if you want to be candidate of councillor on the platform of APC, you must surely have 60 million naira. I'm telling you the truth. In my particular area that I'm living in Itirekati, you know where the so-called youth that is very patriotic youth that we want to put for, where do you want to get that 60 million naira? If I may ask, where do you want to get the 60 million naira? You see, you want to find a 60 million before you was voted because it's a good candidate. So definitely, if you don't have 60 million naira, you can never come as a platform of the party. That is very, very good. That is what youth is facing in Nigeria. You know, our politics is the monetization politics. So how are we going to do that?
Okay.
So that's my take. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you, Tunde. Before I ask my next question to you, James, before we wrap things up here, I'm still going to take a few more calls. I think that the mistake that we're making also, and I've seen that in most of the calls that we've gotten and the reactions, a lot more people are interested in running for office as opposed to being part of a political party so that you get to a point where you are the decider as to who runs for what office, what amount of monies are supposed to be allocated, or rather what should be charged for forms, basically the reforms within the political parties. We're not interested in that. Everybody seems to want to run for office. Why do you think that is? Is it also because it looks like that's where the power is?
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's ask ourselves a basic question. Why has the so-called third force in Nigeria always fail? Why do they always fail? From 2015 to 2019, we always boast of a third force, but we never get to see a third force really in reality, except maybe 2023 that we saw what looks like a third force. Because every member of that task force wants to be the poster boy of that party. So I think we need to come to a point in this of our nationhood where we say, look, it doesn't matter if I'm the one contesting or not. All we need is someone with the right ideology, someone that that address the issues down ground. What are the issues? The insecurity, the poor governance, and all of these things. So I think it's time we drop our ego, our own ambition, and because the when we go with the mindset that I have to be the main person, the poster boy of their party, we're not going to go anywhere. And I think the conversation has to start from there. Because if we go to even our universities and you see what happened in these SUG elections, you'll be marveled.
That's a whole kettle of fish on its own. It's a conversation for another day.
You start asking yourself, where's the future? Where are the young people that we're talking about? So this is where the conversation should start from.
Absolutely. Let's take a few more calls before we close the conversation. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, Maryann.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Please turn off your radio.
Hello?
Please turn off your radio.
Sorry. Maryann, I agree with you. So everybody wants to come out to be number one. They don't want to come together and agree. That's the problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So everybody wants to, in his words, be a poster boy for a political party. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good afternoon, Maryann.
Good afternoon.
This is Pastor Larissa.
Go ahead, please.
Your question is, why are people not youth actively participating beyond the social media? The truth is this. Check the time of those their meetings. That is one. Two, there is a problem of poverty. When some youth are thinking of wanting else, you are fixing meeting. How many of them want to be part of it? See, the way this thing is schemed, they've already been schemed out. So if you are actively involved, it's either they are using one Baba Isalem to threaten you. Do you remember in Lagos what was happening in those days? If you like, be more qualified than everybody. Once Baba Sokwe, that is the end. So you see, a lot of things demoralize the youth from actively participating physically. It's either you go there, they involve thuggery. Are you getting my point? And if you continue to stay, you become a target. I can tell you what happened to me in my former area. Where somebody called me.
Unfortunately, we're out of time and we need to take other calls.
So
thank you, Pastor Ladipo, for calling. Yeah, people should participate. Join a political party. You don't need so much money to join a political party to be. The APC has been renewing their register and literally begging people to join their party. You don't have to join the APC. You can join any other political party if you want to join the APC, by all means. But populate these parties. The thing is, the power lies in our numbers. And guess what we have? The numbers. So why are we not using it? Oh, okay, you want to hold a ticket? Everybody cannot run for an office in a political party. There are deciders, there are kingmakers, and there are also EXCO members. So if you populate the parties, then you begin to decide in no time. But if we continue to allow the same old people decide, of course, it's the same thing that we're going to get year in, year out. I'd like to take a few more calls. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good evening, Maryann.
Yes.
Marco from Facebook.
Go ahead.
I think what's happening now in the National Assembly is very crucial. If I can't hire you and control you, you won't fear that I will fire you. Do you understand? So if the people, young people, know that it doesn't matter what we do, we can't influence you, then the elected guy knows that you have no power over whether I will go or not. He won't come to the constituency office, for which he's actually giving allowance. He won't. If he send a mail, he won't answer you. If he send the phone call, the PA will warn you, don't call this number again. Because but if they change the electoral process in a way that they begin to hand over that power in the people, then the power in the people becomes effective over the people in power, like your guest said. So it's very crucial. If you don't control, people can fear you. So if they don't, is that this electronic or whatever, the making IRF put in the constitution or put it into the law is very important. Do you understand? But young people are not afraid, but it's so frustrating that you vote, you have the result, you come back and the result.
Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it. I'll take a few more calls. 0201-277-0993. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good afternoon, Maryann.
Yes.
It's Emmanuel speaking to you from Epe.
Go ahead.
I think the 2023 election, demoralized a lot of the youth because of the promise of INEC, and then they are not fulfilling, the promise they make to Nigerian, especially the youth. Going forward, I don't know if I should be optimistic, that I have a government, who is going to make me believe, in Nigeria, because I won't want to raise my hope, at the end of the day, it gets shattered. During the election, the 2027 election. However, a lot of people have clamored, for a lot of numbers. If the numbers really comes out, to vote, it will be difficult for them to read, and then from there we'll be able to build a country, that stand on free, fair, and credible election. So I would still want Nigerians to come out, to vote in large numbers so that they won't be able to manipulate the results. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. I want to read some messages quickly, and then I'll come back to you, James, because we have to close out this conversation. Someone here says, how old is Yaya Bello when he became governor? How old is Dimeji Bankole when he became speaker? What is the result? Age is not the problem. The problem is our society. We're too corrupt, and corrupt society can never produce good leaders. I don't think we're talking about having young leaders. We're talking about having young people populate the parties and take charge of the system. We're not talking about young leaders per se. This one says, I'm Adekunle from Ikorodu. My notice is about real-time transmission. I think we should change the real-time stamp. That will be suitable. I don't understand what you're talking about. Anyway, Lorenzo here from Bordelon here says, that's what Pastor Ladipo was explaining to you. Even if you join, you cannot change anything. You will not be allowed to get to those positions where you can make decisions. If you are too loud or you're fighting for change within the party, they will turn you into a moving target. Some of us have tried. We just need to vote these old cargoes out of office. How do you do that? Is when you populate the parties. You don't expect that if you join the party today, in 1 week or in 1 year, you'll take over the party. That's not how it happens. Because we are an instant age, we expect that things will happen instantly. And that is not the mindset that you go into any political party with. James, help me out here for the next 40 seconds because we're going on a break. Everybody has that mindset that we must change it now. Is it supposed to be that way?
Yeah, I think that's the issue we have also with many people. I see that in different aspects, even with the super egos of Nigeria and different aspects of so we Nigerians like results, immediate, instant results. But you see, it's a gradual process. It's a process that will change with time. And there's a word you keep using, populate. It's a game of numbers. We have the population, but how do we leverage this population? That's the problem. Now we have so many people that are so much comfortable with being data boys. They say they are city boy. So when we have a larger percentage, certainly for data boys, how do we galvanize?
Let's go on a quick break. I'm so sorry. Quick break. We'll be right back.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this. What is health? It's more than the
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.